What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another Ranger Talk video. Got a very special one here. I'm super excited. I'm chatting with none other than the legendary Krilloan. Uh, how you doing, man? Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. I'm doing very good here in the south of Sweden. We have an awesome day today. And now I'm talking to the Power Metal Ranger, so it can't be better than that.
Awesome, great. Thank you again. And I guess first and foremost, would you mind introducing yourself and letting folks know what your role in the band is?
Yeah, I'm Klaus Holmgren from Krilloan, as we said, and I'm the guitarist for the band. And I think you can say I was the one who started it back in the day. Back in the day, 4 years ago. Sounds like it was way back in the 70s or something. But yeah, so that's
70s.
basically it. Yeah, I'm the only one of our members that are situated here in Sweden, actually.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really nice segue because my first main question was going to be how did the band start out? How did the idea form and how did everybody come together?
Yeah, that's the most difficult question to answer. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it's quite complicated actually. We started out in the year 2020, and it was way back in. Everyone knows the Corona, the COVID stuff, and the lockdowns and stuff like that. And at the time, I had another band, a local band, and we were playing like rock music and stuff like that. And it was laid to rest, and I needed something to do with my time. So I started, yeah, I just invested some money and built a small studio down in my little boiler room here where I'm sitting at the moment. It's the most famous boiler room in the south of Sweden because we were in the local newspapers here and they took a bunch of photographs and stuff like
Really?
here. Yeah, so that was quite fun.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we started out and I wrote the first song, Yggdrasil, from that was released later on our first EP, Stories of Times Forgotten. And at the time, I thought I needed to involve someone who was better at guitar solos than I am. So I involved my old friend Steve Brockman down from Germany. And we have known each other since, for ages. We met at Sweden Rock Festival for like 20 years ago. And he was happy to jump on board. So he did the solo for it. And I don't remember if it was him or if I came to that conclusion myself that, okay, no one of us can sing. So how do we solve this little problem? So then we found Alex online, and we started chatting. And yeah, he agreed to do the vocals for the song. And at that time, it was just a project for one song. So I think we had programmed drums, and I think I did the bass for that as well. So that was the first steps for Krilloan, and then we have to move ahead. And you have to say stop now because it can take a while.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, so it seems like it just really kind of came together over time. You kind of built upon things gradually, and eventually
Yeah,
you just formed up.
yeah, you can say that. And at the time when we started out for the first two singles, it was me, Steve, and Alex who are still in the band.
Yeah.
And then when it was time for when the idea got together in my head that okay, we have at the time we had two songs and I'd written another one, so we had three. So the plan at the time was okay, we can't release the full album because we have just three songs, but we can do an EP. So we did five songs. And at that time, I started realizing, okay, maybe we can do something more with this. And at that time, we had a drummer named David, and then of course we had found Marco, the bass player. So our those two and me, Steve, and Alex did the first EP. And then when it was time for our first full-length album, The Emperor Rising, then we started to chat with Christoph, who is the drummer these days. And the initial plan was because he has a studio down in Germany. So our first plan was just to hire him to do the mixing for the album because he has done a couple of albums that I really love. So I wanted his expertise on that. But then we started talking, and suddenly he became the drummer somehow in the band as well. So and yeah, so that's the short story on how it all came together. And these days, it's the five of us who are in the band.
Cool. So you kind of just put together this EP with this interesting collection of musicians. And were you surprised when you got signed to Scarlet Records? Was it like, oh, wow, we've gone from like 0 to 100 very quickly?
Yeah, that was quite strange because the EP, when we released that one, we were signed to a small label in the US. I think they are down in California, Stormspell Records.
Mhm.
And we started talking, and they agreed to say, hey, we will print. I think it was like 500 copies of that EP, and we thought that our luck was done at the moment because just to release it in a physical form was fantastic.
Yeah.
So that was really great, and we are very thankful to Stormspell still to this day. So they were a great guy who has that little small label down in the US. And then, of course, when we thought that okay, everyone, but many people seemed to like the EP, and we started thinking about okay, shall we do a full length album? Because many people were asking us when is the first full length from Krilloan is going to happen and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I think we had a meeting. Okay, are we going to go through with this? Because all the other guys has other projects going on with music. This is my only musical project at the moment. So, but everyone was on board, and then we started to just send out the demos to. I think we sent it to all record labels in Europe and the US as well. And then suddenly we had an email from Scarlett, and then we said, okay, what the hell do we do now? Okay, we need to write a full album because I don't think we had a full album at the time.
Yeah.
So that was quite cool.
Wow, and incredible. And now here you are. You've released your first full-length album, Emperor Rising, and we have a new album, Return of the Heralds, correct? Coming out
Yeah,
September 20th. Sweet. So,
that's correct.
yeah, so after you finished Emperor Rising, you released it. What was the reception after that? What was it like after releasing the first full-length album, from there up until deciding to create another full-length album?
We got a very positive response, both from the EP, of course, but
Yeah.
definitely from the full length album. And it seemed like we did something that people actually liked. And the plan from the beginning was to I think you know about it, but to write the old type of power metal, more speedy, not so much keyboards, more guitar oriented, and it
Yeah.
seems like people liked it. So I think at the time when we released Emperor Rising, I think we had say 4 or 5 songs already done for Return of the Heralds that will be released now in September. So we were already ongoing process at the
Yeah.
moment. Yeah. So it seems
Cool.
like we have just been written songs for like 4 years now. So
Awesome. Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up the approach that y'all have regarding kind of that very old school heavy metal slash power metal style, without like the keyboards and things like that. A real focus on the guitars. Was that something that you wanted to do from the beginning, or did it kind of just evolve into that?
I mean that was the plan. So that was
Mhm.
quite clear in my head when we started
Yeah.
out. I mean, I'm listening to a lot of power metal bands, but I usually tend to go more for those that are more guitar oriented. And for myself, I have never played in a power metal band myself before. I'm from
Oh,
more playing rock and more hard rock stuff
okay.
and punk back in the day. So I've always been into the fast things. So
Yeah.
so that was quite natural for me to go quite high speed from the beginning, and that's what I like. So I thought if I like it, I guess someone else will do it as well.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you really have to do what you like to do. And if other people enjoy it, cool. If they don't, oh well, you got to do what you want to do, as an artist. But yeah, it's definitely evident in the band style. It's very it's fast, guitar driven, and things like that. And before we start talking about the new album, I'm curious, what's the meaning behind the name Krilloan?
Yeah, that's I think that's the name is actually from an old. I don't know if you played role playing games when you were younger, but almost everyone in Sweden did that during the 80s or 90s.
Okay.
So the name Krilloan is actually from an old book that belonged to an old Swedish role-playing game. So when we started out, and I was thinking about names, and I mean power metal band names, they're okay. Shall we use something with dragons or fire? And you know, not to make fun of that, but you understand what I mean. So I thought we need to have something that really stands out. And it happened that I went through old boxes in my basement in my house, and then suddenly I found those old books and just started looking through them and went a bit nostalgic because I hadn't seen them for like 30 years. And then I just took this book up and I thought, okay, this might be a good name.
Yeah.
And what it means in Swedish, it's like the city of adventures. And I thought that, okay, that's quite a good idea to build a band around, even if it's only a few percent of the Swedish population who knows what it actually means. So for you guys in overseas and other countries have no clue. So, but I thought that was a quite fun thing to do and a bit of a nod back to our history.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, City of Adventures. Yeah, that's really cool. Like it's a cool name, like you said, that sticks out. And whether you know the meaning or not, it's neat. But knowing the meaning, it makes it even cooler. So really awesome. So after the first album, you said you were kind of writing songs for the second album. Did you want to try to kind of evolve from the first album, or did you learn anything from the first album that you wanted to incorporate into the second album that maybe wasn't present in the first? What was the process there, or was it more of just like, hey, this is just a continuation of the first album?
Yeah, I think the initial plan was just to do an addition and just keep going in the same pace. Then after thinking about it for a while, of course, then I understood it. I mean, we did I think it was 9 songs on Emperor Rising, and every one of those, except for the instrumental intro, I think is quite fast, especially 8 of them are very, very fast. So just for the writing process, I thought that, okay, we should try something else with at least a couple of songs just to get some more interest in the process of actually doing the songs. So I think everyone will probably recognize at least half of the songs. They will they will be the same way as the old album. But then on this one, we have at least 3 or 4 songs that will be a little bit more different. Some of them are way heavier than on the first album. So we will see how people think about that. But that was the way everything led up to. And I found a guy that I got to know last year named Carlos Alvarez, and we started talking about common interest and things like that. And we came up with, okay, we like this thing and we like these things together. Okay. And then I asked Carlos, okay, do you have any songs? Because he writes songs like a madman. And I knew he liked Krilloan, and he knew what we were about. So he's actually involved in 2 of the songs on this album. And that was, for me, that was quite good because I'm the main songwriter in Krilloan. So it was quite nice to have someone else helping out and create something that I would never came up with. So that will sound a little bit different, fast, but a little bit more heavy. So yeah.
Neat. So there'll be some familiarity for folks, but also some surprises. So yeah, that's really exciting.
I think so. And we have a key fiddler as well, and that will be awesome.
A fiddler? Oh.
Yeah, some folk music as well.
Yes.
You need that when you are from Sweden.
Great. Oh, yeah, that gets me excited. I love the folk, kind of when it's infused with power metal and things like that. I'm also a big fan of just folk metal genre in general. So anytime there's some folk elements in power metal, I mean, that's just icing on the cake. So I'm excited.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear that for sure. So when you're writing songs, what's kind of like your process? And do you kind of set the foundation of a song and get input from the other members? Or do you really kind of just create everything and say, hey, you play this and you play that and we're good?
I mean, my focus is I usually write the basis for the songs. And with that said, I mean the rhythm guitars. So I do them. And then I record just a simple bass line. I can't play bass that good, so just to have the song, yeah, that you can listen to it and understand it, so to speak. And then I program drums just to have something behind it. And when I've done that, I usually send the demo to Alex with the lyrics, and then he comes up with the melodies for the song. And we have done that. I usually send it to Steve and Marco. So Steve put on the guitar solo, and Marco, the virtuose on bass, he completely, he shreds my bass lines, which is very, very good, because I don't really have bass lines, but he has. So they are totally free to do whatever they like. So I just send the foundations and the idea for the song, and then everything we just pack it together. And when that is done, we send it to Christoph, and he puts on the drums out of his own head, of course. So it usually it doesn't sound anything from what you started with.
Cool.
But so we found a good process already on the EP. So we just started with that one, and usually we go just one song at a time. So here is one idea. I send it to Alex. He puts on the vocals, and after the vocals, it's easier for me to put on melody guitars and stuff like that, just to enhance the vocals. And then off to Steve, because then he can hear the overall melodies of the song, and then he adds solos and other things after that. So it's a time-consuming process, of course, because we are in 1, 2, 3, 4 different countries, of course. So we send everything around. But in the end, it turns out really great, I think, because everyone has their own input, and everyone hears the songs their own way, in their own head. Okay, what does this song need?
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I like that approach. It's really neat. Regarding the lyrics, so who writes the lyrics, and what kind of are the themes of the lyrics? Is there overarching story kind of being told, or things like that?
Usually, I mean, there are I think they're rather basic power metal themes. And maybe so when we started out, we wrote stuff about Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer 40K, and stuff like that. And then, of course, Michael Moorcock's Elric, that's the title track on Emperor Rising. And on this one, we have a couple of 40K songs as well. And then we have a couple of songs about Robert E. Howard's Conan. And those type of things. So basic old fantasy concepts that we like. And for Emperor, I wrote most of the lyrics, if I remember correctly. But then I have a friend named Linus. So he is a real lyric wizard. So we started to work together. So these days, usually he writes most of the songs, most of the lyrics. So for Return of the Heralds, he did most of the lyrics. Yeah, because I know my limits and he's way better. So Linus, can you do this? And he's happy to help. And we are very glad to have him on board.
Awesome. And who does like the artwork? Because the artwork is so cool.
Yeah, that's a Spanish painter named Alvaro Valverde. So we started to use him already for the EP, or even before that, because when we released Fireborn, I think that was the third single before we released the EP. So I started chatting with Alvaro after searching through the whole internet to find, okay, what type of artwork do we want? Because I'm a real sucker for art. I always love artworks on metal albums and albums overall. So I knew I need someone who understands this. And then I found a couple of pictures, paintings that Alvaro had done, and just sent him a question. And we started out with the Fireborn cover. And then he did, I think, the single Prince of Caledor for Emperor Rising as well. And then, of course, the album artwork for that one. And then he did this one as well for Return of the Heralds. So he is an awesome guy, a fantastic painter. So I'm glad to hear that you like them.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned that you're a sucker for the artwork. And I really think, especially in the power metal art and even heavy metal genres, you'd need a really cool cover. And being someone who used to go to the record shop or the CD shop, and I'd be looking through things before the internet blew up and you could find anything anywhere. you relied on just looking through albums to decide which one do you want. And it was important to me, like if a cover really stood out, it's like, that looks awesome. I have to buy this. So I kind of have carried that through to today. So it really, I love seeing a cool cover artwork because to me it's very important. So that's really awesome. You found that fella, and yeah, I mean he's excellent.
Yeah, really glad to hear it, and I totally agree. I mean, it should be not just the music; it should be a full the whole package.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
we are very glad to have him on board.
Cool. Yeah, no, no, truly. Um, so I know you said that you everyone is in like four different countries. Have you all had a chance to really play live or anything?
No, never. So that's yeah, it would be fantastic to play live with Krilloan, but as it looked like today, I don't think we will be able to do it because it's me here in Sweden. We have Steve and Christoph down in Germany, so of course they are quite close. Then we have Alex in Portugal, and then Marco, he lives
Wow.
in Argentina to make things
Oh,
even easier.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so so I don't really know how we should be able to get together to do rehearsals and shows like that. I mean, we are a
Yeah.
very small band, so we probably not have the funds to do it, but it will be very very fun to do, of course. So that's a dream,
Yeah.
absolutely, to do that. But at the moment, I don't think so.
Well, maybe one day you'll be able to do a big festival or something like Vakken or something like that. That'd be really cool.
That would be really awesome. We were joking on the last album that we will like rent a ferry or something like that and go to the middle of the Atlantic. Okay, that's quite in the middle for everyone. Just fly people there.
Yeah, go play a show on Atlantis. I mean, how cool would that be? The
Yeah,
the, the first
that would be
metal show on Atlantis. Yeah.
exactly. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Nah, so we will see. That's something for later, I think. Yeah, unfortunately, because we have many people asking us about it, and it would be
I
fantastic to
bet.
do it.
Yeah, I mean the band, the musical style, it would really, really be awesome in a live setting. So yeah, you never know. Maybe one day.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but so what are kind of like your influences? So, I know you said you kind of like that old school heavy power metal, style. What like kind of like from the 90s or is there any real I know you said lyric wise and theme wise it's fantasy, Conan, the RPGs, Warhammer, stuff like that. But musically, are there any real main influences that direct your songwriting?
Yeah, I think for Krilloan, I think the big names there are first and foremost, absolutely the Blind Guardian, and I think many people will guess that. So, and
Yes.
especially their first like 5 albums or something
Yeah,
like
the
that. So
early stuff. Yeah.
yeah, that's always been my house gods when it comes to power metal, and then of course early Halloween,
Hmm.
and then of course the first Hammerfall albums.
Hmm.
So that's like, yeah, the basics for the Krilloan sound. But then, of course, I have a lot of influences from other bands. Like, I mean, I grew up on Kiss and Iron
Hmm.
Maiden and all the 80s bands.
Yeah.
So that's where
Yeah.
I come from. And I always like the melodic approach to music and especially metal. So I guess you can say that. So that's the basics. And then we built on when one grew older. So I discovered like the power metal scene, so it went on from there, and then it's always fun because I was away from the scene for a couple of years before we started Krilloan, and then I'm started to look around. Okay, what's out there today? And I mean, when we
Yeah.
found awesome bands like, I mean, this band Battleborn from the
Yeah.
UK, they are fantastic, and I found them and bought their first EPs. But hey, this is awesome. And then our brother band Evermore, from yeah, they live here in
Yeah.
south of
Awesome.
Sweden as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found their first LP, and I thought, hey man, this is totally awesome. I mean, so that there is a lot of good bands out there, and that really made me okay. I want to play power metal again. I found the fun of it because I was a little bit tired because I thought for many years much power metal sounded basically the same, which is like mid-tempo songs, a lot of keyboards, a lot of symphonic stuff. Good
Yeah.
stuff, absolutely, but it really didn't do it for me. I wanted a
Yeah.
more
So
energetic approach to it.
yeah, so you really, it's interesting with the power metal scene these days. There's kind of different categories now. You have that very modern approach, or bands that have been around for a long time, and they're just kind of doing the same thing they've always done. But then you have that real kind of almost indie power metal scene where there's just a lot of, cool, somewhat unique, fresh approaches, and it seems like that's kind of what swept you away. So, and I think Krilloan fits nicely in that category as well, where it's not overproduced, it's not like heavy on keyboards. It's a very kind of uh, old school, just kind of raw almost approach, and it's cool. I love that indie power metal scene, and that's kind of what excites me more today, honestly, than the big overproduced power metal. I actually got into power metal back in the 2000s, so I love the 2000s approach, which it has more keyboard, of course, but I just I think the indie side is really representing the core power metal sound, and that's one thing I really like about Krilloan.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I like the rawness of it, and it should
Yeah,
be. I mean, our plan from the beginning was it should sound organic, not overproduced, like you say. It should be. You can hear some mistakes here and there. You can hear some string slides and yeah, stuff like that. And I always love that myself because it brings the music more to life than if everything just sounds exactly like it should on every beat.
right.
Which is
Yeah.
important, of course, but yeah, it doesn't need to be 110%, if you understand what I mean.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I'm definitely excited for that. So, aside from music, when you're not creating songs or playing for Krilloan, what do you like to do?
Yeah, I like nature a bit. So a bit, I really like nature. So go out hiking as much as I can. So that's a big thing that I do with my time. I'm in the Swedish military as well, so I have that on the side.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so that's about it. And then of course the family. So I fill all the time, all the waking hours on the day, I think.
Yeah.
And
So
I read a lot, of course.
okay, cool. So
Yeah, and that's
is that the order? Krilloan, hiking, military, family, and then reading.
yeah, something like that. And then work somewhere in between
And
there.
then
Yeah.
work.
So,
Okay.
somewhere at the end.
RPG gaming, you still do
Nah,
that? Have you
no,
picked that back up? No.
no, I haven't. No, that will be something for the past. So
Okay.
I like it, and I try to see what's out there just for the fun of it,
Yeah.
that ways. But nah, I don't play it. No.
No. So the new album, Return of the Heralds, is literally right around the corner, September 20th. Are there going to be any more singles between now and then?
Yeah, two actually.
Two.
So I
Okay.
think I don't remember all the dates at the moment because there are too many dates around wobbling around my head at the moment. But I think in like 3 weeks or something like that, we will release the next single, and then we will have another one. I think it's about 12 days or something like that before the album actually drops. So two songs before the album comes.
Cool. Exciting. Yeah, looking forward to that. And lastly, what do you really hope that listeners take away when listening to Return of the Heralds?
I hope they take away the same thing as I do when I listen to power metal that I like. I mean, power metal for me has always been about basically just one thing: is the energy. You should feel good and uplifted when I've listened to a good power metal song or a power metal album. That's I mean, we are no politicians or anything like that. We sing about knights and dragons, so you shouldn't listen to us about that type of things. I mean, music for me has always been it shall be fun and make you feel good. That's basically it for me.
Cool. So no one's gonna get their news feed from listening to Krilloan album.
I really hope not. Would
Awesome.
be interesting though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you think news is medieval fantasy things, then yeah, I guess, hey, right? But
Yeah, it
awesome.
depends on what songs they are listening to, of course.
Yeah,
The lyric themes can be a little bit different from song to song. So yeah,
sure. Yeah. Well, I know I, for one, am really excited for this. I think a lot of folks are. It was really cool to see, audiences really cling to the first album. And, it seems like y'all are just full steam ahead. You're only just gaining even more and more momentum. So I look forward to the future of the band. And I can't wait to hear the album. So really, really excited. And for everybody watching here, in the description below, I'm going to put all things Krilloan, social media stuff, links to music videos, all that good stuff. And don't forget, Return of the Heralds comes out September 20th. So now is a good time to follow them on socials if you're not already. Keep up to date with what they're doing and see when the new singles drop and all that good stuff. So, like I said, all that stuff's in the description below. Check it out. And thank you one last time, sir, for chatting with me. I really, really appreciate it.
yeah. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure, my friend. So we're glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone out there who checked out this video. Stay tuned. Return of the Heralds. Like I said, September 20th, new Krilloan album. Looking forward to it. But until next time, I'll catch you all later. Ranger out.